Now, after I had posted the his and hers set, one of the viewers was wondering, do you have to make them so fat all the time? Well, I don't think he worded it quite like that, but that's what he meant. And I told him, well, I like to make the pens heavy because I like to see the wood. You know, it's not like I'm actually going to write with them. And so I think he wanted to know, well, how thin could you actually turn a blank down? Well, I've actually never turned one down as thin as I think I can. I've always sort of made them very rounded. Now here's a Slimline kit. Now, we should be able to turn that down very, very thin. In other words, we should be able to go, where are we here? This is the centerpiece. We should be able to go right from the diameter of this, which should be the same as this, which should also be the same as this. And just go, if we can just go straight across, you know, without rounding it over, if you know what I mean. Well, let's just see what we can do. These are the bushings. I happen to have 6 of them. And I haven't turned down too many of these Slimline kits. And one of the reasons I don't is because they are hard to do. It is very easy to actually go right into the brass tube if you're not careful, unless, like I do, you really round them over good. I guess I'm just not as steady as some people. But I'm going to try, and we're going to see if I can make it straight across. Right from this diameter, right across to that diameter. Now I was looking through my little scrap pieces of wood and I found that I already had 2 blanks drilled out to the right size diameter. I guess I must have started one of these kits some time ago. Would have been a year or 2 ago. And then for whatever reason, this is as far as I got. Anyway, it takes a 7mm bit, which is already drilled out. And the brass tubes, of course, will just go right in. And yeah, it should be okay. So we'll sand the brass tubes, glue them in place, and this will save a little bit of time. It's already done. Now, just a point of interest here, that wood is from my neighbor's Manitoba maple tree. He had a branch break off about 5 years ago and I salvaged some of it. Now, because this is not a tutorial about how to turn a pen, it's all about how skinny can we make the blank. I've obviously skipped over some steps here. I'm at the point now where I can try and turn these blanks down so that they go straight across from this bushing to this bushing to this bushing. It can't be fat and obviously it can't be thin. I'm going to show you graphically why that's such a problem. At least it's a problem for me. I went to my computer here to draw everything out, and I realized I forgot to measure the bushings. Now, the short one and the long one should be exactly the same diameter, and they are. Anyway, you can see it's 328 thousandths here. That's exactly the same as the nib, and that's the way it should be. Actually, all those parts should be exactly the same size, but they're pretty close. Now here it is drawn out exactly to scale, pretty much the way it is as it's sitting on the mandrel right now. And when the blank is taken down, and if you could see the brass tube underneath like this, well, then you'd be able to see you don't have a whole lot of room there to make a mistake. And if there's any kind of a void going on because maybe the blank wasn't drilled out very well, you can see you're going to be getting right through to the brass tube. So this is why I avoid going straight across. That's why I give it a little bit of a curve. Now, excluding the brass tube, there was only 3/1000ths of an inch difference between the bushings and all the pen parts. Well, I know from experience it's quite easy to go down to the place where you're almost touching the bushing. You want to leave a little bit because you're going to want to sand later, right? So, yeah, that's easy. Go down almost to the bushing, but then when you're going across, I might get just a little bit too exuberant and, go too deep right there. So I'm going to cheat. I hope you guys will forgive me here. Now here's something I've always wanted to try. Well, always, at least for the last few years. I don't see any reason why this shouldn't work. If I get the gouge at the right angle, should be able to just tighten it in here very carefully. Okay, I think that's about the right angle. I don't want to break anything here because the gouge is not designed for this, so I don't want to be getting it too tight. Yet I don't want it to come flying apart later once a little bit of vibration gets on it. Should be okay. Okay. Now, there's my other wrench here. Should be able to angle it now. Okay, let's see what happens if I go at an angle. Get it so it's almost riding the bevel. And like I say, I don't see why this shouldn't work. Almost riding the bevel. I guess I should adjust the camera so you can see what I'm doing here. Now when it touches the blank there, it's maybe a little bit low. I should see if I can shim up the chisel just a little bit. Well, I've got it now so that it would be riding just off of the bevel here, and it touches just below the center line, which I think is probably a safety factor because if it does get a bit of a catch, it won't be pulling into the spinning blank. It'll be sort of pulling away from it. Now, I've never done this before. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I've thought about it a lot. Now, I should mention that I used a little piece of wood here to shim up the chisel. I would assume you have used steel because the wood has a bit of give to it. However, I don't think that it's going to be prying down very hard on the end here. It's just going to be just slicing it off here. There's not going to be a lot of pressure. Anyway, one thing though that I do have to do, and that is I want to make sure that when I run this all the way to the end there, nothing here is going to catch. I'll just back this out a little bit. Okay. Okay, obviously it's going to be okay. Nothing here is going to catch on the chuck, because if it did, that would be real bad. So anyway, I think we're just about ready to try this out. Now, I am sure that most of you know this, but just in case there is somebody that doesn't, there's a power feed on this. When I lower this, what happens is a half nut engages on this worm drive, and it will slowly move everything this way at a steady pace. That's the advantage of this machine over a regular wood lathe. Plus, it's very precise. Anyway, I think we're finally ready to try it. Now, I can't tell you how glad I was that I had that chisel at a very shallow angle and it was just sort of riding on the bevel. Otherwise, there would have been a disaster coming up. Keep watching. Well, I screwed up, but I think I can save it. And I'll show you what I forgot to do. What I did was, I forgot to tighten these nuts so that this wouldn't go like this. I don't know why I didn't notice that. But like I say, I think I can save it. I think I caught it before it actually went too deep. I can't see the brass tube anyway, so that's a good sign. Meantime, we'll just snug these up a bit, like I should have done a moment ago. Okay, good. Now, I'll just continue on. Maybe I should just measure this first here. Okay, that's the thickness of the bushing. Yeah, that's good. I didn't go down too deep. Yeah. Oh well, all is well that ends well. This afternoon, while I was fooling around with these blanks here, the post office was dropping off a package from William Woodwright. And in the next episode, you're going to see that I finally got what some of the viewers were suggesting that I get. Anyway, thanks for watching.